Hey man, glad you can make it. Take a seat anywhere you want. You can put your computer over there. So, have you seen the new episode of Kanata no Astra? It's really starting to show its age. Like, it's really obvious that this is a remake of a really old show, precisely because of the fact that every episode so far has ended on a cliffhanger. Last week, the cliffhanger was the fact that someone has been cutting the communications module out of the main control board on the spaceship, so they need to find out who is actually sabotaging their trip back home. I still think it's Luca, you know, the guy who looks like he's from Gundam. He has like the green space suit, if you don't remember his name. He pretty much has no character development, like we don't know anything about him, and even in scenes where the whole team is there, he doesn't really talk that much, so maybe he's trying to like downplay his existence. I don't know. I think it's him. In most shows, it'd probably be him. Alright, so in this episode, the big deal was the fact that our main character Kanata decided to reveal to the entire crew that there's a traitor amongst them, so now we're watching a show about trouble in Terrorist Town. And lo and behold, people began to not trust each other because he told them there was a traitor amongst them. He should have honestly kept this a secret, and I think Zack had the right idea, so I'm not sure why they decided to divulge this information now. But then an asteroid hits their spaceship, so they need to work together in order to get the spaceship working. So I thought this would be a good way to show the audience who could be the traitor, like who is throwing this operation, who is purposely trying to get them killed. Because previously in a scene they were talking about how it's possible that the person that's cut the communication, the traitor amongst them, is actually a Suicide Squad killer who wants to take down the spaceship with all of them in it. Oh, and it's worth mentioning the fact that they think that Phoenicia Raffaeli, the lolly. So the lolly apparently overheard when she was in the orphanage that she would be put in the same team as the rest of them. So there's like this grand plot coming to light where maybe someone's been orchestrating the murder of all these kids. But when you watch them come together to fix the spaceship, no one was really trying to throw the game. No one was purposely trying to get them all killed on purpose, because if it was like the guy with the black hair that covers one eye who looks like Ishigami from Kaguya Wants to Be Confessed To, then all he would have to do is miss the vital shot at the very end of the anime and just get them all killed. But no, he doesn't miss the shot, he lands it and he's able to get them to safety, essentially. And then at the very end of the episode, he goes back to his room and then he finds a gun, and we find out the fact that guns are like super hard to come by because apparently they've been abolished 400 years ago. So the fact that he has his hands on a gun is supposed to be like this huge revelation. But based on what he said before, I'm pretty sure he's not the guy that wants to get them all killed, or he's the guy that cut the communications network. There's no way it's him, because if he wanted to get them killed, he would just, you know, miss the shot at the very end of the episode. So what I'm thinking is that gun is there to kill his dad, because in a previous scene in the same episode, we find out that his dad would be willing to kill him. So it wouldn't be surprising if he was willing to kill his dad. He's probably out on some kind of revenge mission. Just looking at him, he looks like some edgy revenge guy, dude. But wouldn't it be crazy if there was, say, a 10th person on the ship that we don't know about that cut the communications, so technically none of the kids on the spaceship are responsible, and it's just the third party that comes out of nowhere and is the villain and the culprit? That would be totally crazy and would totally ruin the show, right, dude? Right, there's no way they would betray us like that, right? Right? On another note, a show that I thought I would have dropped by now is about another isekai protagonist who goes into a world full of RPG elements, and he just so happens to be absolutely broken, and then he runs into a lolly he must protect, and then another lolly he must also protect, and then one's a tsundere, one's a dere, and then hilarity ensues. You know, I thought I was going to drop this as it was super generic. The designs, they're pretty bad. I don't think the designs are that good. In fact, you know, just to see how bad it is, I went to check out the manga, and the manga designs are so different from the anime, I'm not sure what's going on there. Apparently, the anime designs are based on a light novel one-shot cover art done by a different artist than the one who does the manga, but I think the manga art style is much more appealing than the anime art style. The anime art style is really simplistic, whereas the manga art style is much more detailed and it makes the characters less generic. As it stands right now, all the characters in Maou-sama Retry look like really generic JRPG characters. And I guess it kind of makes sense because in the lore of Maou-sama Retry, the Maou-sama, the main character, the isekai dude, he was a game designer and he made this game. So it kind of makes sense that they would look like simplistic JRPG designs, I guess. Leaving my mental gymnastics aside, this show's first episode was not epic. I decided to drop this show after one episode, but for some reason I decided to keep watching it. I don't know, maybe it was on my auto download list. But then after watching the second episode, I was a little bit intrigued. I wanted to see where the story was going. And after the third episode, I'm hooked. I gave it the 3-episode rule, and I guess I'm in it for the long run now because as it turns out, when he got isekai'd as the villain of the game he made. So he is technically a anti-hero, I suppose. But then the hero of the game he did make, he's in the world with him. So it's not like he just got isekai'd, but the characters from the video game he created got isekai'd with him, which is an interesting twist, whereas in other isekais, normally it's just the main guy, like in Ainz, like from Overlord, it's just him and the rest of Nazarick. But in Maou-sama Retry, it's a bunch of other people that may not align with him. And since he is isekai'd as the villain, the other white-haired delinquent dragon punch guy that they introduced in the newest episode, he could be a potential antagonist. And I've never seen a isekai'd main character versus an isekai'd villain before. That's something new, that's something fresh, and yeah, it's pretty trash, but I can't stop watching it. I think I need help. But do you know what show isn't trash? That's right, amazing segue, Roion. I'm talking about Copcraft. So in the newest episode of Copcraft, they hit that real sweet spot for me. I love stories that take fantasy magic and combine it with modern technology. So in like a Zero no Tsukaima, if you remember that show, they introduced the idea of a explosive stick, or the stick of destruction, which is just a bazooka. Or if you look at Gate, where they use machine guns and they like pair it up with like magic abilities so then they can get good aerial attacks. I really like the idea of pairing modern technology with magic. So what Copcraft does in episode 2 is they take magic that can control dead bodies and combine it with a bomb. So what they can do is they can detonate the bomb, kill everyone in like, I don't know, a 600-mile radius, which is absolutely huge. You could take out a whole city with that thing, and then reanimate the bodies and control them as like living corpse zombies to attack the populace. You could take down a whole country with this technology, and this really ups the ante with what Kei has to does, because Kei right now, he thinks he's investigating some kind of missing persons case relating to a fairy, and obviously he's a little bit racist against fairies, you know, having fought in the war against them when the Isekai Gate happened. So I think episode 3 is going to have to somehow tie these two plot points together. We're going to have to take plot A, which is Kei investigating, you know, the human trafficking, or I guess the fairy trafficking that's been going on, and plot B with the terrorists and the bomb who wanted to take down the United States of America. They've already laid the groundwork on how the plots are going to intertwine, because at the end of the episode we're shown Kei looking up the main villain, and we know that the bomb can only be made using the fairies. So I'm not sure what they like. Maybe the fairy is inside the canister, or do they kill the fairy and rip off her wings and use that as like a catalyst? I don't know. It sounds really, really dark. But by far, one of my favorite scenes in episode 2 was the fact that the villain is a fairy, right? He's an elf. And elves are known for all that nature stuff. And when he drives up in a Hummer, he guts out of the car and he's like, hey, you see these sneakers? They're Yeezys. They're $3,000 US. See this watch? It's a Rolex. $6,000 US. But you know how much human women cost here on Earth? $3. You know why? Because I'm hot, baby. That scene was so hilarious. Just seeing an elf say these gangster things, listening to gangster rap. Like, one of the best parts is in the Hummer he drives up in, he's listening to gangster rap. You know, capitalism is just too powerful. The elves, you know, they can't escape the Yeezys. No one can escape the Yeezys. Oh, and an interesting bit of lore that they kind of dropped on you in like 2 sentences that I think is going to be really, really important to the lore of the story is the fact that the villain can only control people that have done drugs. If you've done drugs, or this fairy drug, then it makes it possible to have your corpse reanimated. So the only people who can have their corpses reanimated are people who use drugs. So the US government, it is the US government controlling the crossing between the gate and our world. They're gonna have to double down on their war on drugs, or Kei's gonna have to really step up his game and capture this guy. So far, it's one of the main shows I've been looking forward to every week, and I highly recommend you go check it out. You're already watching it? Great, because I just spoiled a ton of stuff. Araburu Kisetsu no Otome-domo yo. And pronouncing it has not gotten easier these past few weeks, despite saying it every week. Last week, the club was about to get shut down because they couldn't find an advisor, but thank God, the man that Hitoha, the senpai, the one who wants to write the books, she was soliciting this man online for sex, and as it turns out, this man is also her teacher. What are the odds? So that whole subplot has been rectified, but the interesting thing here is the fact that Hitoha, she wants to achieve a certain level of success. She wants to become a novel writer, I presume. She had her manuscript laughed at because the guy who was reading the manuscript, the editor, he was like, "Your book is so unrealistic. Give me your cock. No one actually says that." So he shuts her down hard, and the people in the office laugh at her, and they laugh at her writing, so it really takes a blow to her self-esteem. So in order to get over the fact that she's writing a bunch of fantasies and her only interaction with the other sex is really through an online sex chat room, she solicits sex from whoever she was talking to, and as it turns out, the dude she was talking to was actually her teacher. So she's able to blackmail him into saving their literature club. You know, he seems like a really chill guy, a pretty cool teacher. I mean, despite the whole soliciting sex from a minor thing, he's still a pretty chill guy, and I totally expect him to have a redeeming arc where he takes her virginity or something and then he's super cool and super chill. That's what I suspect will happen. Anyways, the next subplot is Onodera, you know, the one about her walking into her best friend's room, or at least her childhood friend, and she finds out that he was in fact masturbating. So now she goes into his room and finds the Blu-ray porn box. Dude, this guy's got internet. I'm not sure why he doesn't just watch it online, why he needed to buy the Blu-ray of all things. I have no idea. Honestly, I think he kind of played himself. But the big revelation that happens at the end of this episode for that subplot in particular is the fact that our main girl pretty much accepts the fact that he's into these kind of things, which is cool and all, but then the dude goes up to her and says, "You know what, I don't think about this kind of stuff with you, so don't worry about it." So this makes her really distraught because she really likes him and she wants him to bang her. But here's the thing though, she ran away from him crying, so her kind of chance has kind of gone down by quite a bit because from his perspective, right, she walked in on him masturbating, and if she was down to bang, then maybe they could have talked it out, or maybe she wouldn't have run away, maybe she could have played it cool or something. So the fact that she ran away first and now she's crying and then runs away, he's probably just super confused as to what's going on. Her actions are pretty much conducive to creating a love triangle because this creates a gap for her rival to potentially come in. Last week I said it was going to be Momoko. Momoko was going to be the love interest, love triangle rival thing, but no. Judging by this episode, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Sugawara, the blonde-haired foreigner, since, you know, they had that scene together. All in all though, not really anything happened this episode. It was still more setup. Last week was setup, this week is setup. We're still waiting for the big payoff. I think the highest point of this episode is when they showed off the Star of Bethlehem flowers. Real subtle there, Japan, real subtle. Oh, you're not sure what the Star of Bethlehem flowers symbolize? Well then, let me give you a quick rundown. But not me, my good friend Miller. The Star of Bethlehem flowers actually appear in so many animes, especially in Kirara shows where it's just cute girls doing cute things and there's really no dudes around. Those flowers pretty much appear in the background in every single show, so keep your eyes out now that you know. Okay, next show. It's time to talk about Tuaru Kagaku no Accelerator, my favorite edgelord. And this show, the second episode, really shows the age at which this series was written in. It's really clear that this original series is quite old. The fact that it's not an isekai is already pretty much a dead giveaway, but the characters and everything was thought up way back in the day with Tuaru Majutsu no Index, which is a completely other series, but then the spin-off series Tuaru Kagaku no Accelerator actually started in 2014 when they released the first light novel. This second episode reminds me so much of those battle harem school animes. Just looking at the character designs, there's even that needless bondage scene where the girl gets strapped in with a bajillion belts, because, you know, the more belts you have, the cooler you are. That's just a scientific fact, I'm afraid. Only a few years ago, the isekai trope where it's like, oh, we have RPG elements, oh, I'm a regular guy in another world, that stuff is like par for the course now. But back in the day, we had battle harem school animes where the main character is either really humble or really edgy with nothing in between, and then despite going to high school, he never shows up to a single class and is just super overpowered, and he meets like a harem of girls, but there's like a main girl he's protecting or something. Accelerator pretty much fits the bill perfectly, and he's super edgy, and sometimes the voice acting doesn't match the way they animate the face. Like, he does that really drawn out voice, like he does this really sneering voice, but the face isn't sneering enough. Like, he doesn't look evil enough in the anime, but his voice sounds super evil. Especially in the fighting scene in this episode, in episode 2, they animate his face really calm and composed, but his voice is like losing all sense of control, and he looks like he's gonna go berserk crazy mode and kill everybody. And in this episode, we're introduced to the main antagonist, the DA. And that's not Dumbledore's army, that's not a Harry Potter reference. They're talking about disciplinary action. This is the name of this evil organization that's set out to control Academy City, because Academy City is apparently full of all these kids with superpowers running around in check, like our main character, Accelerator. Which is fine and all. It's okay that he's trying to protect Last Order, which is the Lolly Misaka. It's cool that he's going out and doing all these things, and the fights aren't too bad animated. The fights are actually pretty enjoyable, but the one issue I have with this story, and it also happens in Index, is the fact that Index and Last Order in this series look like they're gonna do nothing. In Index, it's worse because Index is really overpowered, so it sucks that they didn't use her. But Last Order, I feel like she's like the poster child or the mascot of the Tuaru Kagaku no Accelerator series, and to not have her follow the main character around kind of feels a little bit like a waste. They introduced all these other side girls that are pretty much going to disappear after this arc, I presume, and he's just gonna go back to Last Order. What I'm saying is the plot pivots around Last Order. The plot is all about this DA organization going after Last Order. But despite, the whole plot pivoting around Last Order, I'm pretty sure she's gonna have like no screen time, which kind of sucks. She's supposed to be the poster child of the show. You would like to, see her go through some real character development and, build a relationship with Accelerator. But Accelerator's off, doing his whole edgy anti-hero thing with these other girls, where the girl even does the really classic, "Oh man, you say you're evil, but your eyes tell me the truth, and you have a heart of gold." So far, not too bad, not too good, pretty average show. I'll still give it the 3-episode rule. It's only 2 episodes because it started a little bit late in this summer season, so hopefully it picks up next episode so I don't drop it. I'm probably not going to drop it anyway. You know how much I enjoy battle, high school, harem, okay, trash shows. You got me. But you know what you didn't get me on? That's right, I went to the gym again this week just to watch the Dumbell Nankiro Moteru anime. But this time, instead of ending my workout by listening to Silhouette by Kanaboom, I decided to stick it out and watch the ending theme. And I actually didn't know this, but at the end of every episode, they do this little bit where they show you how to do some of the exercises, and you get to do the exercises with some of the characters from the show. In episode 3, what they do is they do curls, and they show you how to do the curls, and you can do the curls with the girls on the show, and Machio, of course. That was actually a huge help in getting used to doing these curls, as I have never really done them properly before. They actually point out a lot of the mistakes that people make when they first start lifting. For example, taking on a weight class that's way too high. Maybe I could do 1 or 2 sets of the weight I was lifting, but then going down to a lower weight, I was able to do 3 sets instead and do it with a proper form instead of kind of throwing my hips up and then getting like these lifts that were kind of just a waste of time in the end. This show is actually really useful, and I didn't expect it to be so good. I actually kind of expected the show to be a throwaway show, like maybe a show you watch just for the lewd scenes, but I didn't expect it to be so good, because not only do they explain how to lift weights and exercise properly, they also talk about proper dieting techniques. They talk about all types of things related to fitness, and I think this can be a huge help in just dissolving a lot of the myths out there that I myself bought into. For example, eating maybe 1 big meal a day as opposed to simply eating a few meals a day, like a lot of small ones. That is apparently better for your health and can help you lose a lot more weight. The pacing, the direction, the slice of life elements, everything has come together very well in the show, and I'm happy to report that it has passed the 3-episode rule, and I'll definitely be checking it out for the rest of the season. Also, I bought a gym membership, so it's not like I can go back on it now. Speaking of which, when are you gonna come to the gym with me? Oh, so you want to talk about Enen no shouboutai? Wait, did you just stealthily change the topic on me? Well played, but we can't because there's no new episode this week. Oh, you don't know why? Well, this is going to be a little bit heavy, but get ready. I'm afraid Kyoto Animation is done. Their studio got burned down by an arsonist who claims that Kyoto Animation stole his work from his novel. And 30 people died, including the director for the Nichijou anime, which is one of my favorite animes, so it really sucks that this happened. The building was really old. The Kyoto Animation building was made mostly of wood, and apparently the roof access door opened inwards instead of outwards, so people got trapped inside. A lot of safety hazards as a result of, being a really old building, which really sucks. And apparently Maid Dragon Season 2 was supposed to drop at the end of 2019, but we won't get that now because, the studio burned down. And because Enen no Shouboutai, Fire Force, is about fighting fires, to air an anime about fighting fires when about 30 of their colleagues and a few voice actors got burned to death was not a good idea. So they decided not to air the episode this week. As you can tell, I'm feeling very uncomfortable talking about this, as I really enjoyed Kyoto Animation's style. It was really well animated. It's probably one of the best studios out there. And to lose them now really sucks. But I'm on the side that they should have aired the Enen no Shouboutai episode 3 anyway, regardless of what this arsonist did. Because when you cave into this demand, when you say, oh crap, this arsonist, he affected us, we won't air the episode now, then you're just giving him power. You should hold your head up high, address it, let's just say, how terrible it is, but then air the episode anyway. Caving into the reactions of just one person might spur other people to act, like other crazy people. They'll be like, oh man, I hate Enen no Shouboutai. I see how burning a studio down stopped them from airing the episode. I'm gonna go out there and burn down another studio, something like that. I don't think they should have caved. But, I come from a very American style way of thinking. But in Japan, they don't think like that at all, and they definitely just didn't want to hurt the families anymore, so they decided to pull the show out of respect, and I totally understand that. Alright, that didn't lighten the mood at all, but the lobby is made. I sent the invite. Come on, join. Let's play. Come on, dude. Refresh the server browser, and you'll see it.